The two baby girls wailed loudly as their mother flung them onto the bed and began shoving her clothes into a worn travel bag. Her face was hard with fury, like someone gearing up to fight the whole world. Her husband, Mr. Cola, spoke softly, "The girls are crying. They need you." But Adiz snapped back with a cold, biting tone, "They're not my problem anymore. I'm leaving you." She kept stuffing clothes into the bag without even glancing at him. "Please don't go," Cola pleaded. "If not for me, then for these innocent children God blessed us with." Adiz whirled around, her voice sharp as glass. "I didn't marry you to live in misery. You can't give me the life I want, so I'm done. Don't come looking for me. As for those babies, do what you like. I don't care." She paused, her lips curling into something bitter. "In fact, I don't even care whether they live or die." She yanked the zipper of the bag shut and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls seemed to shake. Once, Cola and Adiz had lived peacefully. But everything fell apart the day he lost his job. From then on, she never stopped threatening to leave. She complained about their small room, their meager meals, their changed life. Cola kept begging her to stay, not just out of love, but for the sake of their baby daughters, Zina and Zara, barely 3 months old. But Adiz's heart had turned to stone. Left alone, Cola picked up his daughters and held them close. Though their cries tore through the silence, he rocked them gently until they calmed. Looking down at their tiny faces, his heart was heavy, but his voice stayed steady. "I may not be rich, my angels," he whispered, "but I will be the best father in the world." The babies slowly drifted off to sleep in his arms. The next morning, hunger woke them all. Cola had no food, no savings, and 2 newborns needing care. There was no time for self-pity. He strapped them to his chest and went to rent a wheelbarrow. He began working at the market, pushing loads for strangers. People stared. Some with pity, others with judgment. A few kind souls dropped coins into his hands. One elderly woman stopped him, her face soft with sympathy. "You're doing something noble," she said, slipping 500 Nigerian nairas into his palm. "This is for the girls." Cola nodded with gratitude and kept working. But not everyone was kind. One loud market woman scoffed, "You were enjoying yourself in bed, now enjoy the suffering. Foolish man." Her words pierced him, but he said nothing. Only Zina and Zara mattered now. That evening, after a long day of hard labor, Cola had earned just enough. He went to a small pharmacy and explained his situation. The pharmacist, touched by his honesty, helped him gather infant formula and some baby supplies. Cola paid and went home feeling thankful. Every day after that, he worked the market, his daughters tied securely to his chest. He had no family, his mother had passed, and he had no siblings, but he never complained. He found purpose in his struggle. Somehow, the girls were healthy and growing. Then one sunny morning, as he was preparing to leave, a familiar voice called out, "Cola, wait." It was Mama Ifioma, a kind-hearted elderly neighbor. She walked up slowly and said, "Let me take the girls today. I'll care for them while you work. The sun is too hot for these little ones." Cola hesitated. "I promise I'll treat them like my own," she added. After a moment, he nodded and handed her the babies. That day, though his arms were free, his heart was restless. He missed them even at work. But when he returned, he saw his daughters laughing in Mama Ifioma's arms. He smiled in deep gratitude. From that day, Mama Ifioma became part of their lives. The girls called her Mama. Zina and Zara grew up surrounded by love from 2 people. Their devoted father and the gentle woman they knew as Mama. They didn't go to elite schools, but Cola made sure they had books, uniforms, and a roof over their heads. He also taught them the values of respect, compassion, and hard work. At 18, the girls graduated from the community secondary school. Kola watched them prepare tirelessly for their WAEC and JAM exams. Zina scored 325, Zara scored 341. Both gained admission to study medicine and surgery at the same university. One afternoon, they came rushing home, waving their result slips and laughing. Kola embraced them tightly, tears in his eyes. "My daughters, you've done it. Soon, I'll be known as the father of 2 doctors, he said, puffing out his chest playfully. They laughed together, the house echoing with joy. But later that night, Kola sat alone on the edge of his bed, the smile gone from his face. He whispered, "After everything, I have nothing left. I can't even pay 1 semester's fees." His heart ached, but he clenched his fists. "No. I won't let poverty stop them. I'll find a way." The next morning, Kola didn't take his wheelbarrow. Instead, he went from house to house in the wealthy part of town, kneeling before men in fine clothes. "Please," he begged. "Let me serve you. I'll wash, cook, sweep. Just help me send my daughters to school. I will work for you like a slave if that's what it takes." But one by one, the rich men shook their heads. 2 medical students. "That's too much," one scoffed. By sunset, Kola had visited 6 houses and been rejected at each one. He returned home quiet and heavy. For 2 days, he barely spoke. Then one evening, he called the twins into his room. "My daughters," he said quietly, "I've failed you. I wanted to take you anywhere your dreams led. But now, I can't even afford your school fees." His voice cracked. He turned his face to hide the tears. But Zara stepped forward, took his hand, and said, "Daddy, you've never failed us. We are who we are because of you. We know you would have sent us to the moon if you could." Zina added, "We'll find another way, together." And just like that, the man who thought he had reached his limit, felt hope again, not from money, but from the love he had planted in the hearts of his daughters. That night, after the heartfelt exchange, Kola couldn't sleep. He lay awake staring at the cracked ceiling, thinking of every possible way he could help his daughters. But even as he thought, a quiet shift had begun, because Zina and Zara had already started planning. The next morning, the twins met in their small shared room. Zara opened her old school bag and pulled out a notebook. "We're going to figure this out," she said with a determined look. Zina nodded. "We can't just sit and wait for a miracle. We'll create one." They made a list: scholarships, part-time jobs, grants, competitions. They took turns using a neighbor's phone to access the internet and began applying for everything they could find. That same week, they walked to a cyber cafe 2 towns away just to fill out an online scholarship application. Meanwhile, Kola returned to the market, wheelbarrow in hand. His body ached, but he had renewed energy. He pushed harder, longer, and with more determination than ever before. Every naira counted. Then, one evening as they returned from a cyber cafe, Zina found a flyer stuck to a wall. It read, "National Female Science Scholarship, for aspiring doctors from low-income homes. Application closes in 5 days." Zara gasped. "This is it." They rushed home and showed Kola, who blinked at the paper in his hand, his eyes wide with hope and disbelief. "Apply," he said. "Apply right now." For days, the girls poured themselves into writing essays, attaching documents, and getting recommendations. They barely slept. And after submitting the application, all they could do was wait. 3 weeks passed. Then one afternoon, while Kola was in the market, a phone call came through. It was Mama Ifeoma's phone. She called out, breathless with excitement, "Zara. Zina. It's them. It's the scholarship people." Zina answered the call with shaking hands. A woman's voice on the line said warmly, "Congratulations. You and your sister have been selected. Full tuition, accommodation, and stipends for the next 6 years. Xena dropped the phone. "We got it," she whispered. "We got it." They screamed with joy. Tears poured down their faces. Mama Ifeoma danced around the room with them. Later that evening, when Kola returned, he found his daughters waiting by the door. Their eyes were sparkling. "Daddy," Zara said, stepping forward, "we got the scholarship. They're paying for everything." For a long moment, Kola couldn't speak. He just sank to his knees and pulled them both into his arms, tears spilling down his face. "I told you," he whispered through the emotion. "I told you that you would be doctors one day." 6 years later. The graduation hall was filled with cheers and applause. Kola sat in the front row, dressed in a simple but clean outfit, clutching a handkerchief. Mama Ifeoma was beside him, her smile radiant. On stage, 2 young women in white coats received their degrees, Dr. Xena Kola and Dr. Zara Kola. As the dean announced their names, the crowd erupted. The girls looked into the audience, found their father, and raised their certificates high. Kola stood slowly, overcome with pride. He didn't even realize he was crying again. Later, during a small celebration at home, the girls presented him with a gift. A small wrapped box. He opened it, and inside was a gold-plated plaque that read, "To the best father in the world. Who carried us with his heart, not just his hands. From your daughters, the doctors you raised." Kola stared at the plaque, overwhelmed. Then Xena said, "Daddy, from now on, you rest. We'll carry you." Zara added, "You gave us everything. Now it's our turn." The story of Kola and his daughters spread across the community and eventually went viral online after a university journalist published their journey. The story inspired many, men and women, rich and poor. Kola, once a nameless wheelbarrow pusher, became a symbol of fatherly sacrifice. He was invited to speak at parent forums, community gatherings, and even on a radio show about raising children with love and integrity. Mama Ifeoma was honored with a community award for her kindness and support. The twins, now doctors, opened a small clinic in the town, ZNZ Community Health Center, offering affordable care to people just like the family they once were. And every morning, as the sun rose over the town, Kola would sit on the front porch, sipping his tea, smiling at the sound of laughter coming from inside his now brightly painted home. He had once promised to be the best father in the world, and he had kept that promise, every step of the way.